This is a negotiation. We have the best deal of a bad deal. We choose our own allies in Canada.
Mark Carney is absolutely terrified of Trump. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. First, he was questioned in the hallways, which he ran away from the question. We got his Minister of Finance, Francois-Philippe Champagne, who seems absolutely defeated, coming back from America, seemingly just getting steamrolled in negotiations. And then Mark Carney has a press conference, seems terrified, he seems weak. Let's jump into this. All right, starting off today's episode here, we've got Abacus data. This one's showing 38 Liberals, 37% Conservatives. And considering that there's very clearly more Liberals willing to pick up the phone, this data looks accurate. If you add the bias to that, I'm guessing you would see the Liberals down about 10% realistically. Got this one from the HOC staffer account. It says, how can anyone believe that an Irish citizen whose company paid taxes in Bermuda while moving Canadian jobs to New York is the best person to stand up for Canada? Great point. Don't know why Liberal supporters seem to think this tax evader would be a great prime minister. So we've got multiple posts coming out showing these billboards in America. It says tariffs are a tax on your grocery bill paid for by the government of Canada. Viva Fry here wondering if this is real. I think this is real. There's multiple ones. You can see this one here. Same thing. This one it says is in Georgia, USA, Savannah. This one here, it doesn't say where this is. The irony of this is advertising isn't free. It's injecting Canadian taxpayer money into the American economy. That'll show them. Well, I mean, it's trying to educate the people and get them to revolt against Trump. People pointing out here conflict of interest. Lamar Advertising, a major outdoor advertising company, has a significant relationship with Brookfield Asset Management. Everything is getting out of control. We got Kirk posting this one. It says Canada didn't gain a single net new business in 2024. So we take a look here. We've got, this is monthly. In January 2024, Canada had 938,470 active businesses, and it finished this year with 938,063. It's actually a net loss, as he says here, loss of 407 businesses in 2024. How's that for the Liberals' record? And this goes back 10 years. Our economy, our GDP hasn't grown at all. It's the lost decade. Got this one here. It says Carney Liberals say 1,650 people at their last rally. Does this look like 1,650 people to you? Well, I went through the painstaking process of counting everyone, and I counted 301 people, and I added about 50 because there could be some people back here, also in the corners where you can't see. So say it's 350 people. That's not 1,600 people. This room can't hold 1,600 people. ChatGPT says 450 to 500 tops. Oh, this is interesting. Josh here asked Grok. It said occupied area 2,100 square feet. It did the math, 300 people. Exactly. Got Cat Canada posting this one here. This just shows how people respect the different leaders. They won't even go near Carney. I mean, this guy had a tweet on Twitter saying there's no way he was going to shake that guy's hand. So there you have it. The workers are not for Mark Carney. They're not going to vote for a globalist, multi-millionaire banker. Speaking of the banker himself, listen to this guy. He's just an absolute buffoon every time he talks.
Can everyone hear me? Hopefully not. If you're lucky, you can't hear me. If you're unfortunate, you're close, you can hear me.
That kind of like self-deprecating humor doesn't work for a prime minister. It just seems stupid, making himself seem not valuable and not worthy of the title.
Mark Carney, Prime Minister. You got Chris Sutton, who is...
Why is he announcing himself? It's like almost as if we're not supposed to believe that he's prime minister, that he was just given the role and he didn't earn it.
a former millwright who's running for MP in Essex. So if you're in Essex or know anyone in Essex and you want someone in Parliament who actually knows what he's doing,
the guy.
He's our guy. And Eric Kuzmarek, who is the MP here in Windsor.
There's no enthusiasm in this room. We'll jump ahead here. So it pans over to the people. Look at their faces. They're not excited about Mark Carney.
And we come out on top. And I'm going to say some specifics, but I'm going to give you the big picture, which is the Americans are hurting themselves. So, look, thank you for everything you're doing. Government's here for you. These guys are here for you.
They don't buy it.
They're the experts. Thank you.
There's not one person in there that's buying what he's saying. He's talking about the tariffs, Donald Trump, and auto industry, which is what we're going to get into here. So we've got Doug Ford blabbering away as usual.
But I can assure you one thing. We're going to make sure that we inflict as much pain as possible to the American people without inflicting pain on the Canadian population.
Doug Ford is all bark and no bite. The only pain this guy inflicts is on a toilet. My money is on that he is on one of the names, just saying. Tell him it's not necessary. We already have a government that does a great job of it. It's not going to end well for the political class. We've got Marty up north saying this is getting ridiculous here on Donald Trump's post here. If the European Union works with Canada in order to do economic harm to the United States, large-scale tariffs far larger than currently planned will be placed on both in order to protect the best friend that each of those countries has ever had. This has become an absolute mess. Here we got Francois Philippe Champagne getting absolutely hounded in the halls of Parliament about this. Just listen to his response here. He's questioned about going down and talking with Ludnick in America, and he comes back with nothing. Clearly, he just got steamrolled.
And it's going to bring competitiveness down for U.S. industries. So today, it's all about making sure we fight for Canadians. That's what they expect from us.
Are you afraid that if you impose more retaliatory tariffs, Mr. Trump, like he said this morning, will amp up, escalate the punishment against Canada, higher tariffs?
Yeah, listen, we're always mindful of what the president say, but my job, our job, is to fight for Canadians. It's to fight for the industries, to fight for workers. The Prime Minister was clear yesterday. We even put a fund to support the auto industry in this country, talking about also improving our supply chain, made in Canada supply chain. We're a big nation. We're going to be...
But are you going to escalate it? Are you escalating it?
We're just going to have the cabinet discussion this morning. What I want to say for workers at home.
He's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. Jumping ahead here, she just completely mad dogs him.
We'll stand up. And the Prime Minister has
Will
been
the
very
economy
clear.
collapse? Will the economy collapse? Will the Canadian economy collapse? Canadians are worried about the economy. Will the economy collapse?
I would say what President Trump has been doing is going to bring inflation in the United States. It's going to have the impact of having higher price for U.S. consumers, and at the same time, it's going to, lower competitiveness in the United States. So what we have to do is to fight for Canada. That's what we're doing.
He can't even get a strong response to that. The answer is yes. With the Carney Liberals here, Canada's economy will collapse. He's absolutely deflated in this interview. Clearly, these negotiations in America didn't go over that well. How many times have these guys been down? There has been no resolution. They've just made the situation worse here. You got nothing for Canada. And Carney and the Liberals are ready to roll over and let Donald Trump just take whatever he wants. Next up, we got Mark Carney running away from reporters when asked if he's called Donald Trump to deal with the tariff situation.
Prime Minister, did you get a chance to arrange a call with President Trump?
Just moments ago in Ottawa, there is Mark Carney, Liberal leader, acting as Prime Minister today.
Doesn't look like he's acting like a Prime Minister. Looks like he's running away from the cameras, too scared to deal with Donald Trump. He's terrified of Trump, who won't hold back because he doesn't have to. He'll need an emotional support person. His elbows don't look up to me. Classic global elite movie. Thinks he's above answering questions from the press like a regular politician. Makes pronouncements about Trump, then expects zero scrutiny in how he'll actually engage. This isn't Davos, Mark. Canadians expect leaders who can stand and deliver, not just walk away when it gets slightly uncomfortable. This is a great comment here by The Alchemist. Useless, corrupt idiot. Yeah, that's also accurate. We've even got the Bloc leader, Yves-Francois Blanchet, saying that Mark Carney is afraid of Donald Trump. So check this out. It says, I was surprised the first thing you do is when you become prime minister is go talk to the president of the United States. For his own reasons, Mr. Carney did not want to go do that. Now my impression is that he is afraid to be insulted or having to have a difficult conversation. Now he really needs to speak to the president. I think the momentum in the last 3 days was not certainly of a nature to make us enthusiastic. Carney getting blasted here by the Bloc leader. This gets embarrassing. In this press conference, he also went on to say that the two most important things to Quebecers are national identity, the language being protected, and immigration. And the immigration because it's diluting the language and national identity. So he essentially is blasting the Liberals for all that because they are ruining Quebec's culture in Quebec. We got this bumbling buffoon, Susan Holt, coming out saying New Brunswickers should stop buying American products.
Just stop buying American products like we've been doing here at the government. That makes a difference.
It's starting to be noticed in the U.S. that we have stopped going there. We have stopped our bookings there. We have stopped buying their products. And we've even stopped supplying some of our goods to them. And it's starting to destabilize and create rumblings from the United States. And so
people are losing their jobs in Canada. A deal needs to be made. There needs to be negotiations. Mark Carney's not even calling Donald Trump. The first action of every prime minister of Canada is to go meet with the American leader. Mark Carney did not do that. He went to go gallivant over in France, where he's from, where he's a citizen of. He's not going to stand up for Canada. He's not meeting with Trump. He's not going to call Trump. He's scared of Donald Trump. He needs to go renegotiate the treaty, the Kuzma deal. That's what he should be doing, despite the election going on. He needs to go do that. That's not what he's doing. He had a week beforehand to do it. Trudeau could have done it. They're all weak leaders. They're absolute losers. So check this out. Mark Carney's having a press conference right now talking about how he's going to push back against Trump. He sounds so weak in this. Just listen to this.
This is a negotiation. It's in part a negotiation where we know certain things, and we know that there was going to be an initiative on automobiles. It was brought forward to yesterday. It was expected around the same time as the reciprocal tariffs on the 2nd of April. Those initiatives, just to be clear, apply to all countries in the world, right? So it's not unique in and of versus Canada or versus Mexico. We have the best deal of a bad deal, is the way I would term it within what the Americans have proposed.
Look at this guy trying to water down the situation. No, we got the best deal of a bad deal. That's what I'll get everyone here in Canada. So he says that he'll be talking with Trump in the next day or two, whenever Trump decides. And then this guy's body language here, he's scared. He's terrified of the man.
The second is that we know that there are going to be these reciprocal tariffs, as you referenced in your question, on the 2nd of April, as well as there are potential tariffs, or likely tariffs, I would put it, with respect to other, quote, strategic sectors to the Americans, forestry, lumber, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors.
Semiconductors, because we provide the most amount in the world to America, right?
There was a comma after that. I'm sorry. It was a very long set of conditions, but it was to set up the point, which is that we have a number of measures that we can take in response to those initiatives.
With the top response being flying off to Europe and not actually dealing with the problem head on. Got it.
Judgment, certainly my judgment, it doesn't make sense when there's a series of U.S. initiatives that are going to come in relatively rapid succession. To respond to each of them, we're going to know a lot more in a week, and we will respond then. And in a negotiation, it doesn't make sense to tip your hand and say what you're going to do going forward. So he just basically admitted he's not going to do anything. He's just going to sit back because he's scared. Listen to this. His wording on this. He says we choose our allies. Listen to this.
President Trump today warned Canada about responding and retaliating, warning that he will escalate his response against Canada, and your minister, Mr. LeBlanc, has spoken to Mr. Lutnick. What message, then, are you taking from that? And are you prepared to bear the brunt of that escalation threat from Mr. Trump? How much pain can Canada take?
Well, look, our responsibility, my responsibility, Minister LeBlanc, Minister Champagne, Mr. Joly, the cabinet, the government, our responsibility is to Canada and is to get the result for Canada. So our response will be calibrated in order to achieve that. We choose our own allies in Canada. We choose how we engage those allies. We are sovereign. So I take note of the president's comment. I don't take direction from it.
Yeah, this doesn't look like a confident face saying that. Look at him. His eyes are scanning around afterwards. This guy's lying through his teeth. We choose our allies. We're completely integrated with America. Canada doesn't operate properly without America. Just come out and say it. Make a deal. New Kuzma negotiations. This guy wants us to be part of the EU and drag us into all the mess and the crap that's going on over there, where they're already unrolling their net zero agenda.
Will you or any cabinet officials be heading to Washington to meet with the U.S. administration?
It's possible that some cabinet officials will, I think, given the timelines.
Some cabinet officials. Look at this guy. Everything he does, he is terrified of Trump. He won't even take a day out of his campaigning to go meet with him to deal with this.
The president and I will speak, as I mentioned. I look forward to the discussion. We'll see where we go from there.
That's a no.
And just to follow up on Tonda's question, what do you think about President Trump threatening Canada with more tariffs if Canada works with the EU on countermeasures?
Well, look, we're a sovereign nation. We take our own decisions. I take note of his comments, nothing more.
You notice with that last response there, he was looking down. So you notice here, as he's responding, see he's constantly looking down. It's usually someone, they see did it again there. Someone who doesn't have a lot of confidence, something to hide. This guy's not cut out for this.
The last time Premier Ford put electricity tariffs going to the States, there was quite a reaction from President Trump.
You see that little sneaky Grinch smile? He did it again. The tells on this guy's face, you can read him like a book. He likes that idea of cutting off the electricity. I think that's something he wants to pull out of his back pocket again. He wants to work with Ford on doing that.
Ford put electricity tariffs going to the States, there was quite a reaction from President Trump. When you're considering what the retaliatory tariffs that you bring in the future, is there a consideration to put retaliatory or export taxes on Canadian energy going to the U.S.?
Look, we have many options, and we will use them judiciously.
As interesting as body language, we have many options. Was he actually scratching something there, or does he know that he has no options?
Oil and gas, that is an option that you're considering putting an export tax on?
Look, yeah, as I said a moment ago to Ms. McCharles, it's a negotiation. You don't, you act when you act. You don't pre-commit.
Check out the end of his press conference here. He's just so awkward.
To look after ourselves, we have to build Canada strong. Okay?
Thank you, everyone. That concludes today's press conference.
Thank you. I think, in fairness to the others, that's probably the end, right? Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
He's just such a weirdo. We got another Liberal ad here where they're taking advantage of catastrophe once again. This is disgusting.
One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. They give us nothing.
One of the brightest lights after the darkness of 9/11 came from a remote town.
Nearly 7,000 passengers and crew members suddenly found themselves landing in the tiny town of Gander in Newfoundland.
They didn't have to do what they did for us. They could have just looked the other way, but they didn't.
They're driving up this national unity crisis and making Donald Trump the big scary monster. That's all the Liberals have.
Are joining the fight against the LA wildfires.
Crews from Canada rushed in to help and are making a considerable effort.
Canada has secretly helped 6 American diplomats escape from Iran.
The idea that Canada is only taking from the United States is fundamentally wrong.
When the U.S. went into Afghanistan, Canada was stationed in one of the most dangerous areas.
We would never forget what they had done for us.
Yeah, but all that has nothing to do with Mark Carney. This should not be run as an ad. It's disgusting. They're just taking advantage, trying to pull at the heartstrings to get votes. Meanwhile, Mark Carney is scared of Donald Trump. He won't even call the guy or meet with the guy. There we have it. Mark Carney not fit for the job. He can't even stand the thought of even calling Donald Trump. Apparently, they're setting this up in the next couple of days. But as you heard in that press conference, he wants to wait a week. He just wants to keep waiting and waiting. We'll respond later. We'll keep waiting. Realistically, he wants to delay this as much as possible because he doesn't want to deal with any of this while this is going on. It takes away from his campaigning time, but also just exposes him being weak. He'd rather have people trust me, bro. I'll fix it after when you guys elect me versus having to prove himself while campaigning. So Donald Trump is putting Mark Carney in a very tough position here. This will be critical going forward with the election, along with the debates. Those always really are the nail in the coffin one way or the other. One thing's for certain, though, we don't need another 4 years of a Liberal government.